Hi, Roy Matlock Jr. here on your Monday Morning Minute, and today we're going to talk about presentations. You know, I don't really care what you do, but one thing I do know about presenting is you've got to create and disturb people about where they're at. You know, I always talk to people when I'm trying to recruit somebody. They tell me what they're doing, and immediately I know, you know, the guy, we were in Orlando this week, and the guy was driving us to the airport in the Uber, and I started talking to him, and he had just got through telling me that night that somebody threw up in his car, all right, driving the Uber. And I said, man, you got to be loving this, man. This has got to be, I mean, you must love doing this. And he's like, man, he said, I'm just making extra money. He said, no. He said, and so immediately, once I disturb them, they're open to be able to be willing to do something on a part-time basis. So when I'm sitting down with a customer, what I want to do is I want to disturb them. Now, how do I disturb them? I talk to them about myself. You know, when I first got started in the business, let me tell you where I was at. I was broke. I had credit card debt. I had car payments. I was worried to death every night how I was going to survive. I had a dead-end job, was never going to end up making any money what I was doing. And I'm like 25 years old, and I'm like, man alive, what am I going to do? And then I met this guy with Primerica. So I met this guy, and he started showing me some things I'd never seen before, like how money works and how I could get out of debt, and how I could start saving money, and how I could do some part-time, make some part-time income, and maybe even go on and become full-time and make a six-figure income. And so I did it. And then what happened is I started learning about money. And let me tell you where I'm at now. I'm out of debt. I'm working this thing on a part-time basis or full-time basis, and it's changed my life. And so tonight, as we go through what we do, I want you to really pay attention, because worst case, we're going to show you a way that you can get your finances straight. Best case is we might be able to not only get your finances straight, but we might also be able to show you a way where you could earn additional income just like me. Maybe you make a career change if that's something that you'd be interested in. And then lastly, chances are, as we're going through this right now, you're going to know somebody that says, man, these people need to hear about this. They need to get their finances straight. This is my friends and family that I want to make sure that they're in great shape. Or maybe you know somebody that's looking for a career change. So I want you to be thinking about that as we go through the presentation. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a typical company concept, show them how we kind of get paid, and then I'm going to close. I want this whole thing to last no more than 15 minutes. You got to get in there and show it. And then we get into closing the transaction. So at the end of the time, what we're going to do is we're going to transition into a closing sequence to where now we're going to gather data from them. At this point, John and Mary, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being you're really excited about getting your finances straight, where do you see yourself right now? Well, I'm a 10. Okay, great. Well, the next step is we're going to gather some data from you, find out where you're at, and then I'm going to put together a plan to help you get financial independence. That sound good? And so then I start asking the questions, and I put together the plan, and I close the transaction. And so what is the key element? All right, you got to disturb them, you got to set the presentation up, and you got to explain it in a way that it really is life or death. It really is whether they're going to make it or not, because trust me on this, I started doing this 30 years ago. I have friends of mine that 30 years ago I presented this to, and they didn't do anything. I had friends of mine that I tried to get them to come to work, or maybe they did and they quit. And today, the position I'm in compared to the position they're in, we're not even on the same planet. We're not even in the same world. And the reason is this really is that important. And so this week, when you're talking to people, go out there with the right attitude. This really is important. This really does change their life. It's important that they listen and that they implement. So let's get busy this week. Go have a bunch of appointments and change some people's lives.